there must be an audit trail, like an invoice or a receipt, especially if the amount is substantial. And the expenses must be directly connected with your business. If it is not, the FRS will disallow it and say they don't. All right, but I believe that can be taken care of if you talk to your accountant. Well, the comment I want to make is in the hope that it can encourage some of us. Brother Agbede mentioned the issue of courage, the issue of faith, planning, and all of that. I will relate a bit of my own personal experience. Alagba, come closer. The business that I run today, by the grace of God, we opened the law office in 1984. That makes it 40 years now. Wow. When I was going to start that business, I started it because something happened that I could not take. I joined a law firm after I finished my youth corps, and I believe for our younger colleagues, perhaps we can learn one or two things from it. When I went to the law office, I said, look, I don't want to be paid. They were surprised. I said, I don't want any salary. But whatever I bring into this business, we will share it. So it looks so good and easy for them. So they said, okay, why not come in? Some of them must have seen in some of these car parks, these garages, you will see Lagos State Taxi Drivers Association or Lagos State Taxi Drivers and Minibus Association. A gentleman, a stark illiterate, came to our office one evening in Makoko. He says, please, if you own, and this is part of what Brother Agbede is saying, we need to be original in our thinking. He's an illiterate, complete illiterate. He said to us, Ejo lawyer, if I own my own taxi or my own vehicle and I'm driving it myself, am I a worker? I couldn't imagine how as an illiterate, I was able to figure that out. What he was driving at is that the National Union of Road Transport Workers, that he ought not to be part of that union. And in those days of Jack and all those people, he said, look, the wahala is too much. The vehicle is my own. Everybody that you see with me, what we are driving is our own vehicle. So why are we part of any union? So I studied labor law amongst all those of us who are in the office. So I was the only one that can understand what he was saying. I said to him, truly, you are not a worker. But under the labor union laws, in every sector, they will only register one union. So there is no likelihood that they will ever register you as a union. So he said, is there no way out? And that comes to determination. Very original, very determined, very courageous, and illiterate. So sometimes the things we believe we lack, it's not like that. It's God has given all of us, these things is just in us. I was just wondering, a stark illiterate. So I said, look, let's think of how to get to that. He said, lawyer, a job. Whatever, all I want is a certificate from the government, and I will take care of the rest. So when they left, I told my colleagues, I said, look, we can register them under the Land Perpetual Succession Act, like a foundation or whatever. So when they came back, I said, look, will you be willing to accept a certificate from the dead Federal Ministry of Trade? He said, okay, anything. Once I get it, I know what to do to get away from Jack. So we registered it. I said, but how are you going to operate? Because these people, they are very strong. The National Union is very strong. Who will give you place to have your own park? He said, okay, leave that to me. Then when we gave them the certificate, he came to the office. He says he wants to launch it. I said, you want to launch it? And you want to make noise? He said, lawyer, I'm not worried. Oba Oyekan will be chairman. Anybody that wants to come and cause trouble at the National Theatre, when Oba Oyekan is sitting down, let them come. Now, I was amazed as to the level of, he had every stage planned out. And that is why if you go to the car parks now, you will see Lagos State Taxi Drivers Association or Lagos State Taxi Drivers and Minibus Owners Association. That was how he put them out of that union. A stark illiterate. Now, it was left for me to now learn my own lesson. He paid us very good money as at that time. So I said, now I want my... Actually, there were 2 dormant partners. 2 of us are the active ones. So the other active one, we met, and he said, but we are not married. I said, what has that got to do with it? That was not part of our agreement. You never understood how I survived before this business came. Now this money has come, you say I'm not married. I mean, what do you mean by that? He said, no, let's wait for another business. And you see, the law report that I published today, Supreme Court report, it was the only book, the asset that I had, which I arranged as part of the library. So I left him in the room while we were talking, went to because it was actually somebody's sitting room that we were using. His office in the day is somebody's bedroom at night. So I went to the place, and for our younger people, see, when you see people now, if they don't tell you their story, you have no idea where they are coming from. You just think, they have made it, they don't want... It's not as easy. It's the courage and faith. So I went to the place, I removed my books, went downstairs, took a cab, and I left the office. So he was expecting me to come back into the room while we were having a discussion, but I was done with it. So when he came out, it was later I heard the story. He said, where is Mr. Baba today? He said he has left. He said left. He said, in fact, he has removed all his books from here. So they came to where I was staying. They said, we can still discuss. I said, look, you know what? Keep all the money. I said, look, this is a very bad signal. But you see, this issue of fear is a terrible thing. The fear of the unknown. What will I do? What will I eat? But I tell you, Christ can take care of any situation. They came severally, they pleaded. I said, look, take all the money. Go. Some people said I should sue. I said, look, no need. I'm going to start my own practice. So my friend said, who will give you brief? I was a young man. Nobody has tested. I said, no, don't worry. God will take care of it. And that was how I started the law office. But you said you have to raise money. Now, I was thinking, where will I get the money to pay the... So somebody said, why don't you go and see somebody who is a customs officer? He will be able to loan you money. So I went to him at the port. I said, sir, can you lend me some money? He said, to do what? I said, I want to start a law office. I said, but sir, let me tell you something. This money you want to lend to me is a risk. I may not be. So if you cannot write it off, don't lend me the money. The gentleman that drove me to the place, so the man said, okay, I will think about it, contact me later. The man that took me to the place, we drove from Apapa Port to Surulere. He didn't say one word. He didn't say one word until I was going to go down. He said, lawyer, I could send him to the Yain. Yeah. But to the glory of God, the business is still standing.
Hallelujah.
I want to encourage us, when it looks so difficult, so impossible, stick by it. And let me give this last. And anyway, this gentleman came back to me, wanted to start his business, and he insisted that I must be a director of that company. After the business has taken, I think maybe somehow he felt somehow. I just saw him in the office. He came and they said he wants to start a business. He wants me to be a director. I said, anything, I'll do it for you. But this last story, I'm sorry I'm taking your time, but I just believe that. I was doing a land case, and this is the courage and faith. You see, I'm not telling you a story that did not happen. I'm telling you of what I've seen by the grace of God. And I'm able to share it with you because we are brothers and sisters. I was doing a case in Ebute Metta, a land matter. I was still very young in practice. And this is this courage and faith in God through Christ. You will take care of every situation. This Baba, he lives in Mushin, but his business was in Lagos. I noticed that at very frequent interval, when he's going home, he will stop at my office in Ojuelegba. He will say, lawyer, so one day, something said to me, I should ask him why he's always, because it's very unusual. People brief lawyers. It's not easy for them. I mean, for them to not be coming to check on your welfare. When the case is not coming up. So I was seeing him off one day. So I said, Baba, Ejo, why do you normally, when you are passing by, you will say you have come to check on me? So he smiled. I said, hope no problem, sir. He said, Shimole suffering. I said, Baba, tell me. He said, this case you are doing, somebody will die. He said to me live, he said, somebody will die. He said, because he knows these people that he's doing the case with, that they killed his senior brother, and that somebody will die. He said, but he's afraid for me, because amongst all of them, I'm the youngest. That is why he's always coming to see whether I'm okay or not. So I too, I now smiled. I said, Baba, by the grace of God, nothing will happen to me. I said, you assume that because I'm the smallest amongst you. I appreciate that. But I can assure you that I have something in me that is bigger than all these things that you are talking about. That I will not die. When we finished the case, judgment was given in his favor. Wow. So I told him, in those days, if you got a judgment, you apply for a certified true copy. In 7 days, you will get it. So I said, Baba, in 7 days' time, come and collect the copy of your judgment. He was very happy. He thanked me. On the 7th day, it was his junior brother that came to the office. So I said, Baba Uncle. He said, Baba Kula Roy. Wow. He said, Baba died that morning. They were Muslims. He said, Baba died that morning and they have buried him. Now, you see, I'm saying this to let us know. Christ, he says, look, in this world there will be challenges. There will be challenges. But the courage and the faith in our businesses, look, there are things that we will face that sometimes, when I went back to my office, when he told me that thing, I said, normally, you can be so scared that you say, Baba Joe, this case. Or, if you are not careful and you keep telling everybody, this case, somebody will die. This case, they may take you where you should not go to.
Sure.
They may take, God forbid. Even Baba himself may so rest in peace. I have to say that. So the things that we meet, and I thank God that we are talking to ourselves as brothers in the church. These challenges are there, but I can assure you that by the grace of our living God through Christ Jesus, we will survive it all.
Amen.
No matter how it looks.
Amen.
In our businesses, in our ventures, in our endeavors, God will make us overcomers.
Amen.
But let us do our own part.
Amen. Please, a round of applause for him. I'm in a very tight corner here. I've been given 5 minutes to wrap up the entire session. So I will just see how to ask one question each to meet up with the time. And if the organizers deem it fit to extend, we would be very happy to get more time. So I would start with Deacon Joe. He handled home management. And he was very explicit as to how men can become better home managers as priests, as providers, and as protectors. So the question I would like to pose to him is that how can men become better team players in the home? Some would say African men are not supportive, they are aloof, and you hear the wives complain in gatherings like, my man does not even lift a finger because he feels he's a provider. So how can men become better team players?
Okay, yeah, thank you, Sister Tayo. I think that thinking is obsolete. Like we are making progress. In the times of our father, yes. Even if you kept food at home for my father, he will not still be able to warm it for the period you are away. But times have changed. Yeah, so men must be a team player. And one way is to adapt. Let me give you an example. I've had practical situations that we call it role rehearsals. Role reversals. So in this last 1 year alone, let me use myself as an example. My wife has been absent for about roughly 6 months out of the year. Right? And I have a philosophy. Nobody else cooks for me. Except for my wife if she's around. So I've done quite a number of cooking. And in my own assessment, I've done well. So what I'm saying is that you have to change those you have to change those paradigms. Honestly, in the world that we live today, let me give you another practical example. Sometimes it's actually the wife. I've seen situations where it makes sense for the husband to drop his work so that they can rally around the wife's work. Look, if you understand economic and financial principles, this thing will be solved. We are looking for income, and we are looking for how to maximize income. That's what we are doing in the home, on the provider side. There are many times it makes sense to focus on my wife because the businesses is coming better. I mean, if I look at myself now, the way my wife, the skill set that she has now, look, I'm making myself available more to support her, right? Because I see there is more growth and value in what she's doing than how much, even though I am hardworking, than what she can do. That's the reality. If you don't do that, you will end up losing. So to play, first be adaptable. There is nothing. The way God made human beings, you can do anything. So first, help our psyche. I think it's, I think Brother Mackenzie also mentioned it. I have seen how to remain poor is actually in the head. Nobody is really poor by. So poverty is in the head. If you partition your brain and say some things I cannot do, some things I must do, you have lost. I have people in my office who left to go and be cleaning garbage. They are more successful than people who stay to earn salary. So let's just change our psyche. Thank you.
Great. Just before I let you go, you were very clear as to providing, protecting, but I wanted to know probably your practical suggestion to men on how to be more romantic to their wives, so that the woman is not just ticking the box alongside her husband, but also feeling like a part in terms of the romance that you give to her.
Yeah, so romance is part of marriage. Let's face it. So you need to learn something I learned I think when this church created, now I hope I'm getting it right. I don't know when that's when the church started couples fellowship, or when I just got to know about couples fellowship. I know this brother that is there. I think he's a pastor in Redeem now. It was the couples fellowship, and one of the issues he mentioned is very successful man by our own standard then, and then he says the largest frustration he had with his family or his wife was, here somebody is laboring for day and night, and the wife says, you don't love me. So he said it was a big fight in their family. So he now said he calmed down to look at what the situation is. And he found out that you can actually be doing something and somebody will not appreciate it. Let me tell you an experience. Very early in my marriage, I was working corporate world. So I basically worked completely. I finished all the energy, really. By the time I'm home, little or nothing left. And then my wife said, what happens in the office? That was the traditional question. Say, what happened in the office? Work now. We work in the office. I mean, so that question, I'm like, why are you asking me what happens in the office? And my wife then said, is there no AC? I mean, you are looking, don't they have AC in the office? Why are you spent out like this? So it took me a while. And I just told you the way I was raised. I was raised, don't ask questions. So it took me a while. Then I told her, what do you really mean by what happened? Because a lot happened. I'm an engineer. We are working from 8 a.m. to, there are so many things that happen. What exactly do you mean by what happens in the office? And then he says, like, who is your friend? Do I know them? Okay, I say, okay, this is your area. I said, there's only one person I remember that we probably have met before. So being romantic starts with, we can't go there. But if you want to go to emotions, females are more emotional. They are more emotional beings than men. So females are more moved by what's the feelings and what you do. If a man waits till the night to say he wants to have sex, and you don't start that journey in the morning, it's a waste of time. So create time. That's what I said. Create time to bond. Find out what happens in your life. So if I get home, I've been here today. She has texted me twice about what's going on. So I found out that listening is a good part. So I listened. I wasn't a good listener at all when I got married. So I learned to listen more. And when I now listen, I try not to win. Before, I came into my marriage as a winner. People who knew me, we like to just make argument and win. And I found I wasn't making progress. So I chose not to win. I tried to listen more. And then 3, I tried to, the one I said, I tried to partake in call. When my wife came back, there was one day she actually said a particular soup, that is the one that will help us make it. That, I don't think I was as good as her, but that's really, I said, so you were, I said my own is that the food I make is okay for me. I don't know whether it's okay for others. So that is that. And then to just check. When I was at New Stage, Brother Osukesi was somebody that really impressed me. Brother Osukesi and his wife, they are like 5 and 6. It's like everywhere you go. He told me one time, he goes to all these places that all these big men goes in Lagos. They can go for meeting at 1 a.m. The difference is his own wife will be there. So let's take interest in our wives, and let's also look for their progress. I think I mentioned that. So the other things, just also touch. Touch is very good. Try and touch your spouse. Touch is very important. Thank you.
If we have not been touching, it is a reminder to touch. So when you get home, your wife should know that something happened differently today. Right? Touch and touch. Thank you so much. Please, a round of applause for him. So, to you, sir, I like the fact, listening to men talk about having other businesses by the side. I used to think women are more entrepreneurial than men. Now, my reason is that I feel men are more straight-jacketed into, I have a company, I resume to, I do my work diligently, they pay me my salary, I go home. Nothing concerns me with selling smoothie, with starting a side business, or selling clothes. Like, women are more flexible to doing certain things. But it's good to hear that some men do these things. But for men who are not flexible enough, especially for civil servants, and when they retire, it's just the pension that they get paid, which is really not enough. So for the business angle, I'd like for you to give practical businesses that retirees can get on to doing, so that it might not even be something that will stretch them, but something that helps them have an extra source of income and give them a sense of purpose. So suggestions. Thank you.
Okay. Bible says we should be transformed by the renewal of our minds. There are a lot of things, ideas that the Lord can put in your mind. But you see, there has to be that hunger in your mind. There has to be that hunger. If you are somebody that, is just satisfied with, okay, at the end of the month, I will get this X naira, whether minimum wage of 62,000 or whatever it is. And then, when the school fees come, you tell the child, please, don't disturb me. The money that I have is finished and all. If you are okay with that, you will not challenge yourself. You will just be like that one talent or one minor guy that refused to invest. Now, so, like I said, there might be different things that probe your mind. The first thing that you need to look at is what is the need in your environment. There's a woman that shared during the week. She was a civil servant. And for some reason, whether it was during COVID or some stay at home and all of that. And then she started thinking, I think somehow she had, from her story, she had this long holiday and what have you. I said, what am I going to be doing at this time? So an idea came to her mind that, look, people who do parties, they do souvenirs. They use a bag, and then they print on the bag whether sister so is 40. She said, this is something that she could do, and she started doing it. So by the time that the holiday finished, she has made some money. I said, what is the point in going back? And that was what she started doing. So, there might be a lot. The thing depends on how sensitive you are to your society. Another thing that probably we do not think about is, you have a cleaning business. I don't know, New Estate Baptist Church at one time, we outsourced cleaning. We outsourced cleaning to some people. Some companies believe that instead of getting staff that at the end of the day, they will pay pension, they will pay insurance, they will pay health. They said, look, let us outsource cleaning. And so what you do is that you look at that line of business. What do I need? You go and learn about it. And then, you buy the equipment and all of that. And the equipment might not be so expensive. Just the sweeper, you engage labor and all of that. And at the end of the day, you earn some money over and above what you are invested. So I think those are some of the other things
Brilliant.
that we need to.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay.
Just one comment.
All right, sir.
It's also that, because we are talking about our younger fathers, which this is special focus on. Experiment while you are young. That's also another way. You can afford to lose money. If a retiree uses a pension to experiment business, it can be disaster. But when you are in employment, if you lose, you will recover. So that's the time you can also experiment. And then you will get the one that works for you. Thank you.
Thank you. And something I'd like to add is that there's actually a difference between contentment and complacency. So you can be contented, but don't be complacent as to what you could do to be better than what you currently are, which is a message that I got from him. Look around you. What is this problem you could solve to be better at earning value? Then the final question for you, sir, is that we have young men too here. So suggested investment portfolios that young men who are still working can invest in to more or less like build their resource till the time that they are about to leave paid employment.
Okay. I will start with a story that I learned we used to have a course called Security and Portfolio Management when I was doing MBA. And the lecturer that taught us said when he was a student that, that there were 3 friends, 3 of them. And there was one particular friend that was working and was studying at the same time. He was working and he was studying. So at the end of the day, when they go out, of course, when they go out, they expected the guy that was working and also schooling to have some money to spend. But the guy was always telling them he didn't have money. And so these other 2 guys will spend their stipends. They will spend, they buy any kings. I said any kings, they will buy any kings. They will just enjoy. But that other guy that was working and schooling was not spending. So one day he said he wanted to invite them to a party. So they were looking at him. You that you don't have money, what party do you want to invite us to? So he said, just come. So the day of the party came. Guess what happened? He invited them to his housewarming. What the lecturer was teaching us is that you can create value with little things. That imagine when as a young person, you are not business-minded, okay? You are not focused on the bigger picture. And so you collect salary, and the first thing that comes to your mind is that you want to go to buy shawarma. You want to buy the latest phone. A business-minded person is not thinking like that. A business-minded person is thinking that, look, if I invest this little amount and I put it aside, like our brother said, I put it aside over a year, over 2 years, over 3 years. I will also end by, I can't suggest the businesses or how to create our own value. But what I can say is that you can make your investments in portfolios. You can invest, in those days it was invest in shares. Remember, they will say invest in shares. At some point, the shares collapse and all of that. But a lot of people cashed out. Now, you can invest in also maybe this cooperative or whatever, the person you know or, you know, a known thing. Now, I will end up with my own experience. You know, even though I understand the way shares work, I invested some years back and I really didn't bother about going to my stockbroking firm to know how my shares were going and all that. So I just forgot about it. But like about 2 months ago, I said, wait a minute. I just had all these shares. I don't know what it is. So I went to my stockbroking firm and said, because you have not done this, you have not done that. Okay, fill the forms. And I filled the forms. This was shares that I've not looked at in maybe about 7 years or so. So they filled the form. And lo and behold, after my meeting one day, I was just getting crack on my phone. Crack. I checked my phone. They were alerts. Stanbic IBTC. Crack. So that was like on a Thursday. Then on Friday, the next week, Friday, I traveled. So I was just hearing crank again. It was First Bank. Now, brothers and sisters, we cannot eat our seed with the harvest. It is very important that as fathers, we should learn to be disciplined. Somebody defined discipline, said, discipline is doing what you do not want to do so that you can get what you want to get. It's a tough thing. Investment, starting business, is not for the chicken-hearted. What Baralai said was what I experienced. Okay? I experienced it. And when I started the business, in 1 year, I said, this is very tough. I started applying again. I said, no. I'm not going to apply. I'm not sending any application out. I'm going to rough this business. This was 24 years ago. And I can tell you, the Lord has been faithful. Finally, I want to say again, and to our pastors, please, the Lord will help you to explain tithing to people, but they should get a bigger picture. If everybody is rationalizing it, that look, it's not necessary, and you're a businessman, you can only do it at your peril. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. A round of applause. Okay, we have a hand being told to round off. So okay, let's give him. Okay.
Let me share this little experience as per what you're saying about learning something new. Yeah. I have this little boy I mentored who happens to, he's finished in Unilag now, and I think he studied chemical engineering. The mother is close to me. When he wanted to get admission into Unilag, he had problems, and I got involved in trying to help him, gain admission. And I think during his course, he started learning computing or something. By the time he just finished, and he was supposed to go for youth corps. The mother came to me and said, I think he has gotten even job opportunities with this computer thing he learned. during it. They were calling him abroad to come. So I told the mother, I said, if you come back to the country, you should go for this NYSC. But if they post him where he doesn't like or where will create problems for him, he should travel abroad. He's still here. He's been going abroad. They will call him there. Come, we want to see you. We want to see you. They are giving him jobs from there. He's doing it here. But they insisted he should come. They want to see him. They want to meet him. And he's making money. He's not even... Yes, and it's not this chemical engineering that he studied. And he's been making money. Foreign exchange is dashing his more money now. And he's even gotten a house.
Kidding me. All right, gotten. Sorry, because of time, I learned that people have to run. Please, a round of applause for the gentleman. Thank you so much for having us.
And thanks, Sister Tayo, seriously. God bless you for bringing diversity into this.
My mind went to Genesis 18:19, which Pastor Godwin quoted earlier. And I will quickly read it. It says, "For I have chosen him, so he may command his children and his household after him, to keep the way of the Lord by doing righteousness and justice, so that the Lord may bring upon Abraham what he has spoken about him." And when Pastor Promise quoted this, I wrote it down. I have it down already. And I was like, this is the Spirit of God speaking. In the course of the whole thing, I thought about it that, yes, Father are superheroes. But do our children, do our boys really see us as superheroes? And I decided to do a kind of research. I gathered some boys for about 2 weeks in this church, and I did some interview. And the outcome of the interview is what I'm going to read to us in this short time I have. And the first question I put to them is, who is your dad? Because some of us have this understanding of this is who I am to this boy. But it will interest you some of the answers I got. He's my advisor. He's a friend to an extent.